I also keep saying this, that the market is not made for one tool, right? However good your tool is. So in my case, I work a lot with my 10-bar quad, but the market was not made for my 10-bar quad to decode everything of it. So I have to surround myself with an IB and an IS signal. I have to surround myself with a market and a limit order. And I have to surround myself with a caught at the end of the 3 minutes and the caught at the end of the 30 minutes, because the market speaks in different ways. And I have to find it good and find it within me to collect all that information which is flowing from the market, right? So don't just let one tool be the the speaker for everything which is going on, which is happening in the market. The market is different every single day and will speak to you differently every single day. There is a big problem in the derivative trading industry today, and you all know about what this problem is. This problem is about the fact that a lot of people are not making money in derivatives trading today. And there's been a report which is coming from SEBI also. And now that is a set of data, that's a set of information which is coming to us. It's also a fact, right? Now the question is what is happening which is leading to 90% of traders losing money to markets? There cannot be one simple reason to understand and to look at that. I was grappled with this problem myself, and I have lost money in the markets also when I was a new trader, right? But I understood one thing, that the world of derivatives, the world of derivative trading, the instruments we trade out of, that is to be seen very, very differently from the world of equity trading. Now the equity trading works with a price only approach, because if you take price and you bind it with an element called time and you stay long in the market, then using an equity only approach you will make money, right? For example, your SIPs, element of time, because you're investing time along with your capital, the element of time is giving you money, right? And some people are into stock equity for 25 years, 30 years, 40 years, and they are in in big profits today, and they have made a lot of money today, not just because of the role of price. It's because they have given a lot of time into the market. But when it comes to the derivative side of markets, there is no advantage of time, because you're against the clock over here, right? So you open up a position, you have something called a weekly expiry, and you have to open and get a result before that series gets over. So what you're doing in the derivatives market is you're fighting time. You're going against the principle of time, right? And because time is not in your favor, you have to work with volume, and you have to make volume your friend. You have to make volume as an asset. Right now, I understood this as a derivatives trader when I made those initial losses, that focusing on price was not going to be enough. I had to take the help of my friend called volume, and using volume is how we are creating or crafting an edge for ourselves in this market. Right now, what kind of volume are we looking at? We are not looking at volume below the bar, definitely not. That is 18th century. A lot of people have tried with trading with volume below the bar. It does not work. We are not focused on that kind of volume below the bar. We are not even focused on volume next to the bar. That is another 20-year-old concept. It was called volume profile. It was called volume at price, and has around from 2002 2004. Right, we are focused on something called order flow, which is volume inside the bar. So not below the bar, right? Not next to the bar. We are focused on volume inside the bar, and that is what these charts are all about. Looking at what is the buy-sided volume and what is the sell-side volume inside the bar. Now, inside the bar.
Good evening, guys. Good evening, everyone. A quick sound check. Great. Welcome all of you to this evening session. So let's start with the profile charts of both Nifty futures and Bank Nifty futures. I hope all of you are having a good week. We have seen good moves in both Nifty futures this week, and let us just start with a review of what has happened, and have a look at both the market profile and order flow charts, and also look at some option order flow charts. So we have the Nifty profile chart on screen, and this is Monday's profile. We had met on Monday evening and we had spoken about how it was a nice Gaussian curve, 313 profile, which we call. So it was very clear from this profile at the close that we could get a move away from this balance. So what was the condition for the auction moving away from this balance was one of the tails needed to be taken out. Taken out in the sense it had to be uh, accepted. So when we formed this nice Gaussian curve and closed right at the prominent POC of 24596, next day we were ready for a move away. And what we did was we got a move uh, open right at the value area high, and we left this A period buying tail. So Monday evening itself we were ready for a move away from the balance, which did come. Although it was not a trend day which we were expecting, but the move away from the balance had come and we formed a P-shaped profile. So what it was telling us was the buyers did come in at the open of Tuesday, but then there was not much of follow-up buying which came after the initial balance was done. So which is why we made that typical seaside and then we formed a P-shaped profile. So nonetheless, the buyer zone was this A period, what we call the initiative buying tail. And in market profile, we give most importance in whenever into the singles, and the singles which are coming in A period have the most uh, prominent. So this was our reference for the day moving forward. So I quickly move on to the order flow chart of Nifty futures. This is the 30-minute order flow chart, and this is how we closed on Monday. So 30-minute order flow, we closed in a balance. We closed right at the POC, so there was nothing which was telling us about the bias on this day. We closed right in the middle. But the next day when we opened above this POC and VWAP, and then you can see the A period formed a nice IB bar, initiative buying pattern. So in the order flow, the cot is also green, and we have formed a good green bar, moved away from previous value, and we have got the POC and the VWAP at this reference. So this was very well uh, clear that now we need to look for long side trades. And you can see at the bottom we have good greens. The POC is right in the bottom part of the bar. So everything was going well for the buyers. And then in the B period, we got this good another IB bar. So this was telling us that the buyers are holding control, and we can look for good upsides. So here, what was the only thing of concern was this. Even this, the POC was right in the lower part, and the VWAP was in the middle. Only thing which was concerning was the buyer was buying was drying up at the upside. So you can see a zero on the top. And then what we did was we made a marginal seaside extension of just 5 points. And here you can see we're not able to sustain above this IBH. So when we get such an open, the VWAP of the day becomes an important reference. And for the buyer to continue holding control, we need them to make a range extension to the upside. So after this, we could not make a range extension higher. So there was no case of going long after the C side was done. And then we remained in this B period range all day. And this buying tail of 24682 was held. So the IBs are important order flow signals, and the lows of the IBs are important support levels. So we have spoken about this in the audio session, in the previous sessions also, and you can see how this 24682 was holding all day, though we are not able to take out that seaside high. So what happened in on the market profile was we closed as a P-shaped profile. So P-shaped profile is telling us that it's a short covering profile where there was initiative activity at the open, but then there was no follow-up activity. So then a P-shape, the POC and value become an important reference. So the POC of 24710 was the reference for us for the session of Wednesday. So what we did on Wednesday was we made a probe lower, and I'll show you the order flow chart in a bit. We made a probe lower, but we were not able to break this IB tail. And once we come to Bank Nifty, we'll see how Bank Nifty was showing us more downside, and it was bearish on Wednesday. In fact, on Tuesday close itself. But in Nifty, there was no such sign. So even at the open on Wednesday, we did not get any sell side signals in the order flow. And what it did was you can see how this open and probe lower took support right at that 682 level. 685 was the low of the IB, and you're seeing zeros at the sell side. So this is very clearly telling us that there is no supply coming here to break this buying zone. And after this, we've made a slow probe higher, and we went on to make another seaside extension to tag that 2nd August VWAP of 24791. So once that was done, we formed a RS there, and we again came back down. And you can see how in market profile the references are given and how the order flow shows us support. Here in the A period, the POC was at 24705. So this was the support. This held in the B, and then again in the D period when we made that low, it stopped right at that Tuesday's POC of 24711. So when you are getting this, and the VWAP did break, but we did not close. It was more a RB bar. So this was telling us that this 24710 is being defended. So then we went on to consolidate. We were coiling for most part of the day around the VWAP, and this RS was holding the upside 24772. And then we got this IB bar on 30 minutes, which was telling us that we can expect a spike higher provided this 24733 holds. And this held on, and we got that small spike into the close. And because order flow was also showing us green, and this is why we were kind of uh, bullish in terms of Nifty futures, because you can see the COT is also green into the close, and we got an IB on the 30 minutes, and we also closed at the highs. Yes, the POC did shift to the top because lot of volumes came in at this level, but overall if you see even on the profile chart, we formed overlapping to higher value and closed around the highs. So this is definitely a bullish sign. And to uh, again, to come back from where we started, it was telling us that the market is continuing this imbalance which has started on Wednesday. So then today we opened with a gap up, but then we do not see any volumes in that gap up, especially the buy side volumes. So which is why today was more a no signal kind of a day in Nifty futures. We can see how the opening bar made this high, and you can see how we have formed a red candle, and it's more an RB. So it is not giving us any uh, signal of fresh demand coming in the gap up. And even after the RB, what we have done is we have made lower lows in the B period. Only thing what was holding was this low of B was taking support right at previous day's high. And this POC of 24800 was being defended. You can see how greens have come in at the lows here, and we have zeros on the sell side. So this was indication that 24800 is support. So we needed to break this for a short trade today, whereas on the upside we needed to get about this A highs of A with an IB in the order flow. So we did make an attempt here. We did make new highs, and we got good greens also. But you can see the POC has shifted right at the top. So although we have LLTs, we have green caught, but still this was not a candidate for a good long position, because what we do at VMR is we use a combination of the strategies. We don't use one single strategy. It is not just the cot or just an LLT or just the green candle, because in case we are getting green cot, we want that to be backed up by an IB signal, and the IB signal has to be a good one with the POC in the middle, and it also needs to give us a follow up. So here what happened was we got good zone of greens, but the POC shifted right at the top, and it could not get any follow up. In case they were initiative buyers, they would definitely move the auction in their favor, and the auction would have gone on to make a new range extension in the next TPO. But that did not happen, and this RS held for rest of the day, and we just kept coiling between this 24806 and 24870 level. So this was a no signal day in Nifty futures. Even on the 3-minute bar, we did not get any IB or IS, which we could have taken trade off. So hence we have to definitely look at what the order flow is showing us, and there have to be it has to be there has to be a lot of things which fall into place, because order flow is not just caught or not just the LLT. It's a combination. It is, we have the 10 bar caught on 30 minutes and 3 minutes which we watch, which we want to be green in case we are looking for a long side trades, and then we need to see IBs forming. And on the 3-minute order flow we will need to see IBs forming within 10 bars. So that will tell us that yes, the trend is strong and we can expect more upside. And then we also have zero prints in order flow, which we use because IBs are found when you are getting lot of market order, when people are rushing into enter the market. So we have spoken about these things, and that is where we want all of these to fall in place for us to take a good trade which has more probability of being a winner. So in case we are getting a green LLT, but that the order flow is not showing us an IB, it is showing us an RS, then we will want to wait for further confirmation before we get in. So this is what we do in the trading room every day. All of us are together in the room, and we also have an audio session where we discuss what the open type is, how the volumes were, what were the trades we could have taken in the first hour, and the trades we have already taken, we do a review of them, and then we look at probable setup for the day, rest of the day. And after the audio session, we are still in touch with on the text via the text chat, and all of us keep discussing. So in case there is something which someone has missed, another person will uh, fill up for that, and they will point at, okay, this is one good setup which could work out. So that is how we hunt in packs in the trading room, and where you have live hand holding, and the learning process just gets expedited, the speed. So definitely, in case you want to take your trading to another level, that is the place to be. You can find more details on our website, witender.com. You can also DM me on X. My ID is open at Tutam Goel in case you have any queries about this. So coming back to what I was talking about, today's order flow in Nifty Futures was clearly telling us that there is no case of a good setup. Only thing which we got was no demand at the open and no supply at the POC of previous day. So that was the only thing, and we ended up as a very narrow range Gaussian curve. So just like how we formed this balance, we were expecting an imbalance from here. Same thing can be said of this profile. This is a very narrow range where it was showing us poor trade facilitation. So many times when this happens, that that is telling us that the direction, the auction is getting tired in that direction. So we may get a move lower from this zone, but for that we will need to first get IS signals at this POC 24800. Then we can look at this 24711 level. 24722 is the combined POC of this 2-day composite if we merge them. So in case we break that 24800 with an IS tomorrow, then we are looking for a 80% rule in this 2-day value. So we can look at 24765 and this POC of 24710 being tagged. And then as I showed you, the 24682 would be that buy side reference, where we can expect demand to come back, and we will need to focus on order flow on what kind of volume that is showing at that level. In case that 24682 is again showing a seller, then we get an IS, then we are all set to tag this VPOC of 24596. So that is how we are placed in Nifty futures for tomorrow. And it is not a blind shot. We will need to see how the volumes come up tomorrow, because the trend is on the upside for this week. So we have just made a pause here, and we had very low volumes. In fact, yesterday also was one of the lowest volumes of this year in Nifty futures. So when the volumes are low, it is telling us the trade facilitation is getting poor. So auction will have to then go in the other direction to get volumes. So that is the reason we are looking for a probe down. But just because the auction behavior is such, it does not mean that we can go blindly short. We will need that confirmation from the order flow, and then we will look for that trades. For all said and done, if tomorrow we at open we get some initiative buy side volumes, then we can look to resume this up move, and we have this gap zone which needs to be filled, and this VPOC, higher VPOC of 25035, which will be the probable target for tomorrow. So that is how we will watch what the order flow signals tomorrow at the open, and accordingly uh, set ourselves for those trades. So this is as far as the Nifty futures is concerned. Now let us have a look at the Bank Nifty profile chart. So Bank Nifty has an interesting week. So on Tuesday we formed a B-shaped profile. On Monday we formed a B-shaped profile, and we had spoken about this. And we saw some supply coming in when we opened higher, but at the downside we were not able to break this neutral extreme VWAP of 5401. So this POC of 5505 was our reference, and what happened on Tuesday was we opened and took support right about that reference. And I'll also show you the order flow chart of Bank Nifty. So just like how in Nifty we moved away from that 313 profile, in Bank Nifty it was not a move straight away from that balance, but the open above this POC was definitely a sign that the auction wants to probe higher. Then we left a buying tail at this VWAP and then went on to trend higher for the first half of the day. We made higher highs all through the HTPO, which is where we got the RS signals coming in. So coming to the Bank Nifty order flow, this is again the 30-minute order flow, and this is how we closed on Tuesday. So Tuesday you can see, on Monday. Monday you can see the gap up got supply in. We had a good red caught of 3850, and we got this big 3876 seller, and the POC was at 5750. So from here we went on to probe lower. So the gap down showed us supply, and that is the reason we went on to make lower lows, and we took support right at that extension handle of neutral extreme day of last Friday, which was at 5421. So we were holding that, and we got sellers here. So into the close we did get some green caught, which was telling us that the sellers who had come may have booked profits. And when we opened above this POC, it was bullish, and here you can see we have zeros at the previous day's POC. So that signal, in fact, on 3-minute order flow, it is even more clearer when we get these kind of zeros. I will show you that example of today itself at the open. When we took support, we saw zeros on sell side at an important reference of 5849, and that reference was also mentioned in our business area, and that was our first business area to be bullish for Bank Nifty today. So at the open, when we saw zeros on the sell side at that level, we knew that the Bank Nifty will definitely give a bounce from there. And all of us got into call side trades in Bank Nifty option. And this was right at the opening 15 minutes. And it did give us a good move. So coming back to this 30-minute order flow, we can see how we have formed a bullish A period bar, just like what we saw in Nifty futures. And we have zeros on the downside at the previous day's POC, and the VWAP is in the middle. Although the POC is a little bit on the higher side, how it confirms that it is bullish is if you see the B period order flow chart, you are getting zeros on the sell side again right at the POC level. So just like how we got zeros on the sell side at above this POC, the B period is defending the POC of A. So this is how order flow gives us that confirmation. The zeros give us that confirmation that it is taking support at one important reference. And this was the POC of the A. And this formed the A period buying tail 5700 to 5512. So here on we were very bullish, and we were only looking at call side trades in Bank Nifty. And then what happened is we went on to complete the 1.5 IB, which was at 51063, but there we kind of stalled. We formed this RS here, and we are not able to get above this RS, and this also signaled the end of the one time frame up, because till this H period we were making higher highs on all TPOs. So once that stopped and this RS was holding out, you can see the NPOC standing out on this line. So this 51058 became our reference, and unless order flow 3-minute order flow showed us an IB signal there, we would not have gone fresh long. We would not have taken fresh longs in Bank Nifty. So from there, what we did was we went on to this got good reds. You can see how the cot was turning deep red into the close. So it was very clear into the close that the shorts had built up in Bank Nifty futures. So you can see minus 1307, minus 1131, minus 1569, and you can see those last 45 minutes minus 4757, and last 15 minutes had the biggest red cot. So it was very clearly telling us that the shots were built up. And in the room also, we had spoken, Chai had clearly mentioned that be ready to go short in Bank Nifty, and we had this reference of 5794, which was this VWAP of A period, of B period, sorry, where we got zeros again on the seaside extension. And if that breaks, we were looking for good downside. So that is how we uh, use order flow, and we also prepare ourselves for the next session. In fact, there were many traders in the room who had carried puts on this day, because we got this RS, and then this 115 bar, you can easily say it's an IS, because after this was formed we saw only reds coming in right at this DPOC of 5100, and then we, in the LTPO, we formed another IS bar. Although not all bars are labeled on order flow, we need to be aware about the conditions that we that form an RS, an RB, an IS, or an IB. So because it will help us, because this 1245 bar is a clean RS even if it is not printed, because it was a green bar which was going higher, and then the POC shifted to the top, and it closed below the POC. And we have these conditions mentioned in the orientation videos. So it definitely helps to be aware about when an RS is formed and when an IS is formed. So here in Bank Nifty, we saw how the cot was deep red, and we were looking for a probe lower, and mostly a revisit to this VPOC of 5505. And we also had a failed auction on Friday at this 49965. So you can see how even on Friday, after this RB bar, this 30-minute IB bar on the order flow changed the character of the auction. So that told us that now the auction is not looking lower, and we need to look for the upside. And you can see how this POC of 30-minute IB bar 5250 is still holding. And we went on to change our bias to the upside from here and continued it forward. So coming back to how it closed on Wednesday, we were looking for a move lower, and I'll also show you the 3-minute. Let me start with the 3-minute chart. You have seen the 30-minute closure, and we have seen how the uh, cot was placed. So if I go to the 3-minute chart of a 3-minute order flow chart, and let's start from yesterday's open. So when 30 minutes we use for having the buyer, then 3 minutes we use for executing our setups. So yesterday when we were in the room at the open, and we were all looking to get that good break on the downside, we wanted the order flow to confirm that. So we'll just have a look of how the order flow gave us that signal. And it was not a blind shot right at the open, because at the open, the opening 3-minute bar showed us some buyers coming in. So this is how we opened on Wednesday, which was yesterday. It was the Bank Nifty expiry also. So here what we had already seen this. You can see how the reds were piling on into the close, and we had the POC at 5883 on Tuesday. So here at the open we opened lower, but you can see how we got some good greens. 841 green, 14 green. we did get some green, and you can see the lows of this bar 5793. It is exactly the level which I showed you on the 30-minute chart. This, and this level was also mentioned in our daily report. Yesterday's reference on the downside below the POC of 5883 was 5794. These reports are there on the forum on the website, and the report is open for everyone. So you can go through these report, and they are published before the market opens. So you can have these references handy. And at these references, we need to see what the order flow is showing us. So when we saw this big buyer coming in at exactly that same level, we were waiting. We were looking, looking to see if this buyer can continue to probe higher and take off this POC of yesterday. But what it did, it was not able to take out that POC. It left an RS in the next bar. So it was telling us that the supply was coming back, and you can see the COT continued to be red. So this is where we saw zeros on the buy side. So when you're seeing zeros on the buy side at a previous POC or a VWAP level, it is telling you that the auction is not able to go further in that direction. And then the 921 bar was a very clear short signal for us, because this was a very clean IS. We got zeros at the VWAP at the buy side. It broke below this level. It negated this buyer who was trying to come in, and it formed a deep red bar. So here, with this as our reference 5875, the POC before the IS bar, we got we loaded into our put longs, and it went on to give us good move lower. So you can see how the break of that important reference and the order flow showing us IS went on to make a trending move lower till this 5589. Our target was 5505, but auction does not move in a single line. So it was obvious that it will give us some retracement. So here we got this overlapping RB bars. So from here, it went on to give a retracement to VWAP. So at VWAP, you can see how we got again zeros on the buy side. So when a seller is in control, he will always defend the VWAP. So at VWAP, there is a very good chance for a re-entry in case you have booked out fully or you have not been able to enter. So here, when we make this bar at VWAP, this break of POC of 5630 was a fresh shot with a stop loss at this 5690 level. And then we went on to make new lows at 5560, and again we formed an RB there. So this is how we were holding up the VWAP. Again, you can see we've got RS at the VWAP, and then this was the first time where we broke above VWAP and we saw some uh, short covering also happening. But then, as we see on the 30 minutes chart, that is the reason we have a combination of the 30 minutes and the 3 minutes, so that the bias on the higher time frame is intact and we don't miss that out. So you can see how we have these zeros on the AP rate at 5740, and our signal on the 3-minute order flow chart was also around the 5750 mark. This POC and this POC. So 5750 was our reference to remain short, and any bounce till there we would have looked for sellers to come back. And this is where we again stalled. And once we did that, it was another entry into going short, and we went on to make these new lows. We hit that 5505 VPOC and got this new low. So here again, now I would want to bring to notice that we have made new lows and we have got this big LLT of 2021 red. So that is what I was explaining at the starting of this session, that we do not use any indicator in isolation. Just because there's a big seller in LLT, we cannot go blindly short here, because this was in fact our objective. 5505 was our target. So that is where we actually look to book profits, not take a fresh short position. So here, when we saw this, all of us in the room, in fact, got out of our puts, because we were seeing that this player has entered in a wrong place and it could give us a bounce. So here what happened, that the same thing happened. It did give us a bounce. It went on to go above VWAP. It swiped above VWAP. It in fact even went above that 5750 reference also. You can see these NPOC lines being continued from here. And then you can see how the higher line of 5791, the first ISPOC bar of the 3 minute, was holding. So this is how we need to watch, and we need to see what the cot is showing us. In this bar, the 1124 bar, you can see lot of reds coming in. You can see the cot is minus 3456. So this is huge. So here again, once we get this kind of bars, we know that the break of VWAP can again give us a test of the lows, and we wait for that break of VWAP which happened here, and we take this as our reference on the upside and look for a fresh short side trade. And even though we got another bounce at VWAP, it was not able to take off this zone. And then after a little bit of coiling, it was always clear that the auction has to go and test that 480 level, because that stuck seller had to be tested once. So here you can see how we went on to make that low right at that 2k red fellow guy. And this is where slowly we started to see green card coming in. And here at the second time when we broke that, it was again not able to make a new range extension lower. And the order flow also was not showing us any fresh selling because the cot was neutral here. And then we got this IB bar, and then K period is very important for settlement days. So we are extra alert in the K, L and M periods for any sign that the laggard writers of that day may get punished. So yesterday was a very interesting day. You can see this IB which was formed here, and then we were nearing to VWAP where we got this another IB. Although these both IBs were on low volumes, it was telling us that the supply had stopped. Supply was not coming in, that and that 5480 level was being supported. So we just were waiting for one probe above VWAP, and if we were able to sustain that, we could look for some good Dukan trade, which we call in the uh, open interest of the call side. And we had 50,500 as the gamma zero level yesterday. So both 50,000, 5,500 put and call open interest was rising all day. So we were very much waiting in anticipation that one of the two may get a good squeeze. And when we saw these two IBs coming in the order flow on 3 minutes, we were waiting for that call side open interest to get hit. So here you can see 233, this bar, you have got zeros on the sell side. It's a nice RB bar. And then we make this probe to VWAP. So here when we do this, the same thing in the 50,500 call, I will also open the option chart, but we will only have the option chart of the next week, which is the monthly option. Yesterday's weekly option was a very fantastic Dukan trade. In fact, all of us traded that live in the room where the VWAP of that call was at 87. So this bar, when you see at 242, it did go above 87 and hit 99. But then as you can see here, we had zeros on the buy side. So it did make a dip again lower. There, the call side, I still remember 40 was the POC of this bar where the VWAP was crossed. So I had mentioned that in the room, just like how 50,600, we had zeros in the order flow here, and 5,600 is the support. In that call option of 5,500 yesterday, 40 was the support, and we were waiting for that option to sustain above 78. So a second time it went above 78 with 40 as the stop loss. All of us got into that trade, and I think it went on to hit 180, 190, and then it closed at 187. So here you can see how this probe above VWAP and those IBs told us that we can get a short covering into the close. And right here, the moment it is tagged VWAP and started to sustain above it, you can see how the cot also is turning into green. 11654692819561503263. So here the cot is turned completely green, and we have seen good short covering into the close. So we just missed making new highs for the day because the time was up. we made a high of 5849. So this is what happened yesterday on the 30-minute order flow. You can see how this RB in the 1045 bar D period was followed by another RB, and then once we got about this VWAP, there was no looking back for this auction. And once we cleared this 794, that became our support. So you can see how the 5782 would be our reference for the uh, downside today. And on the upside, what we had was this small selling tail. 5849 was the closing highs and 5887 was the high. So even in today's business report, we had this as our hypo. The first bullish hypo, as I already mentioned, was 5849 only because of this. So if we stayed above this, we were bullish for the day. And this 5782 was our first bearish hypo. So now that we are in the 3-minute order flow, let us start with how we started the day today. We opened higher, but we did not get any demand. We got zeros on the buy side. You can see this, and we got an RS bar. You got some reds. This was definitely some profit booking by the longs who had come in yesterday, and we saw a probe down. And the probe down, you can see it's where did it stall? It stalled right at that 5849 level, and we have zeros on the sell side. So in the room today, we made notice of this, and from here we took a nice call long. In spite of we not having an IB here, we knew that the previous buyers were holding this place, and we can get a move towards that 51050 level from that uh, uh, Tuesday's highs. So 51058 was the 30-minute RS bar I had mentioned. So we were looking for a tag to that. So this is what happened on the 3-minute. Once we got above VWAP, we went on to hit that 51058. So but again, you can see in this 936 bar how we have got a big green, but that big green has come at the top and it has become an RS bar. So this is exactly the kind of signal we don't want to see when we want to continue staying long. This is a very clear sign that you need to book out of your longs, because you have zeros on the buy side, total opposite to what we saw at the lows. And we have the POC, and not just of this bar but of the day also shifting to the top. So just like what we saw on Tuesday where the POC shifted higher and we got an RS bar and we are not able to clean out that RS for the rest of the day, this was our reference for the rest of the day. So after this bounce, we again got into call mode and we started having a dual auction in a narrow range balance day in Bank Nifty also. So you can see how we remained. I'm just pulling out the 30-minute chart so that we can see how we remained between these zones. We had this buying tail and we held this all day, but on the upside we are not able to get any buy side volumes above that 51058 level. So once that happens, it is very clear, because once we get this RS, we want to see an IB bar at that level on the 3 minutes to go freshly long. So here we are just oscillating between two zones. This POC of 5918 was being defended on the downside. I will show you this example even in the option trade or option order flow which we traded today. And you can see how even if you have a good understanding about order flow, how even on a day like this where after the initial move was done, there's now no fresh signals, you can still take advantage and get in some small points and still have a green MTM. So here, this is the RS, so this is certainly not a place to remain long. And here, if you're getting RBs or an IB at this point, you can look for a bounce to VWAP or to this level. So that is what the auction did. Whenever it was going down, you're getting zeros on the sell side and you're getting an RB, and then it goes above VWAP. It would have gone on to tag this POC, but what happened? The POC had shifted down to 5150, and if you see, it did go on to hit a high of 51070, and then it got an IS. So again, these IS are on low volume, but it is only telling us that this zone is not able to be cleared by the buyers. So from here, there is a very good chance that it can drift lower to the 5920 level. So we remain between these two zones. You can see the NPOC lines being gotten out, and this was a good IB. It did make an attempt. This 1139 was a good bar. It is a good bar, good volumes. We had a good LLT green buyer also, and we did look to take a fresh long position here. But as for all good IB signals, this 51051 is your reference. And immediately, whenever you have a good IB, it is generally it generally gives you a follow up the very next bar. Follow up in the sense it will take off the high at least of that IB bar, which did not happen in this case. Immediately it went on to close below this POC, which is a warning sign. So generally we see POCs of IB bars hold. Even it goes same goes with the IS bars. That is what we see on the saw on the 3 minute IS bars of yesterday when we made those probe lower. We saw how that 5791 and 5750 held. So here when this IB POC is immediately broken in the next bar, it is definitely telling you to be very uh, safe with your longs. And this was telling us that this IB signal could get negated, and it did not get back above this POC again. So here you can see how we again drifted. So generally, if you get this kind of an IB bar, next thing happens is we make a higher high, and then this POC will definitely hold. So when once we are closing below this POC, definitely you want to scratch that long and look for a probe above this to get back again, because it is always easier to go get back into any trade. But once the reason for going long is showing you giving you doubts, then it is better to come out and wait for a better order flow signal. So you can see how we went on to just keep coiling. We get an IS, then we get an IB. So these kind of bars, when they come, they're telling us that you don't have to be in any trade. This is a day for writers, you can say. And it was actually a day for writers, especially in the Nifty, where the gamma zero was uh, at for 24,800, and we saw huge open interest building up at that level. So here you can see how we did make an attempt to go above that RS, and we got some good reds here. We got the 689 red, and we got the 705 red. So when we are getting reds in a probe higher, so this definitely was there as the level, the this POC of 51015. So here when we made an attempt to probe above this, we saw good reds piling up. We got the 689, the cottage red, we got the 705, again the cottage red. So here we knew that the sellers are not letting go of this here, this zone. On the downside, the Vivo was getting defended, but then it was more a low volume swipe which was happening. Again we saw a IB here, but then again we are not able to get above those RS, and immediately we got an IS bar. So the volumes were on the lower side after the open today, and in fact Nifty all day the volumes were low. And here you can see the low volumes will give you swipes. So here we got one swipe to 50956, and you can see how close we were to that VPOC of 5920. So this kind of bar, just like how we saw that IB bar getting negated by a red bar next candle, this bar at this 233 bar was a good place to take an entry in Bank Nifty on the long side for a retracement to the higher references, at least to that POC of 51050, because this immediately took support at this and gave us a green bar. So with this as your reference, this POC as your reference, you can take a long for a probe to that 51050. So you can see how we held on to that POC, and at 51050 we saw RS being built. So finally the Bank Nifty did get into a coil mode, and the POC shifted right in the middle of 51035. So looking at the market profile chart, you can see what we have done. We have formed a B, we formed a P, then we formed a lower profile where we found value on Monday, and again now we are formed a P-shape kind of a profile. So this POC will be our reference, and just like how we spoke about in for Nifty, we will need to see what kind of volume the order flow show us tomorrow at the open. So above this POC, we will be bullish. Below this POC, we will look for sell signals in the order flow, and 5920, which was our reference, and this buying tail of 5905 will need to show us sell side volumes for a probe lower to this VPOC of 5611. So this is how we are placed for Bank Nifty futures tomorrow. On the upside, this is the anchored VWAP from the 4th of July. So if we remain above this, we can look for a tag of this singles 51338 and 51422 on the upside. So this is as far as the order flow of futures was concerned. Let us have a quick look at the options chart because we have been discussing Bank Nifty in detail. I would have loved to showed you yesterday's 50,500 call, but unfortunately, the data gets taken out immediately the same day after the expiry. So let us be happy. Let us check out 50,700 call, and we'll also check out 51,000 put. So starting with the call, I'll only go to the order flow chart, and we will have a look at the 3-minute order flow chart because we have seen in detail what the Bank Nifty did. So let us see what were the probable trades we could have taken in this call. So this is the opening order flow chart of the 50,700 call option, and you can see how we opened higher, but the call started to give up the gains. It made these lows at 466. It made an RB bar, and then it got back above VWAP, and the bar it gets back above VWAP. That bar low becomes an important reference for the day. And then once it got back above VWAP, this is the same time where we saw zeros at the 5849 level on sell side in the Bank Nifty. So this probe above VWAP was a good signal for us to go long with a small risk. This would be our stop loss. And we went on to remain above VWAP and then went on to make a high of 610. So this is where we also saw that RS forming in the order flow, and definitely here we will book profits and we will uh, come get down our stop loss to our cost to the place where we have entered, so that we don't lose out any money on that trade. So here when we are looking at this order flow chart, the first bar which went above VWAP after open was this. So 469 was one important reference, and then after which we made this RB at 496, and we can see how we have got some greens. So here this 496 holding, this again the 957 bar was a good IB bar, although it was not printed an IB because the POC shifted to the top, it became an RS, but it was, we already had the sign that this level was being defended. And again when we are getting above VWAP after showing an RB plus IB, this is where you can look to go along with this as your stop loss. And we went on to again probe higher, we hit that 587, and then you can see when we made this IS, the low we made was 513. We were holding those levels, support levels of morning, and we did not break below that 505 level. And then, although we did not get much of a signal in futures after that initial move, here what it is telling you is this is, if you are an option seller, if you are getting an is at VWAP, it is a definite signal to go short. But this was not that case, because here it is holding that morning important level of 505. And this 505 we had discussed, and we were all keeping on repeating that in the room also, of how we need to hold that, and we can look at some more upside. So here again, once we formed a base, we held that level, and again we got back above VWAP with this green bar. It was again a good low risk trade to go for that 590 and 609 levels. So which came with this IB, and how we saw this was new highs which it made, and how we saw in the bank nifty futures that immediately after the IB was formed, the next bar it closed below the POC. So this is not definitely a good follow up, and you will want to come out of long positions once you see this kind of a follow up to an IB bar. An ideal IB will continue to move in that direction, and definitely it will defend the POC. And here you can see even the zeros which were there in this bar was taken out. So this is how we uh, watch the order flow for setups and accordingly take trades and combine it with what the futures also show. Because option will give us multiple signals. It is important to be in sync with the futures chart, because volumes come in the futures, the signals come in the futures, and accordingly the option will give you a move. Because option also have lot of writing which goes on, so those writers covering may also give you those IB signals or covering volumes. But only when both are in sync is where you can get good uh, chances of the trade working out in your favor. So that's it for today, guys. I hope I'm able to show you how the order flow works in sync with the market profile. And this is what we do at VMR every day. So definitely, if you want to do this kind of trading and want to get better at this, VMR is definitely the place for you, and you should give it a try, and you will get all the support. You have a training library which has 15 extensive videos. Then VMR is a place where you have everything on one platform. You have the market profile charts, then you have the order option suite, and then finally you have the order flow charts. So we have a complete product with the charts, the training library, and we have these audio sessions every day at 10:30. Along with that, we have the recordings of all the audio session and the room chat. All the discussion which happens in the room, you can review it end of the day and see what all went on, and what were the setups which were there, what was spoken about, and how it eventually turned out. So we have a complete package there. So if you want to speeden up your learning curve, definitely you give this a shot and see how this goes. And from there, you can take your trading to a next level. So you can DM me on X. My DM IDs are Tutam Goel for any queries. And hopefully these kind of sessions will help you get better and better at trading. Because as I mentioned, we need to uh, take a collective note of what is happening in the market, and so that we have the edge in the trades we take. So thank you for joining in, everyone. So let's have a good evening, and let's look for some good trading setups tomorrow. Both have formed a narrow range balance, so we can expect a good Friday, FRY wala Friday tomorrow. So signing off for now, and let's join up next week for another 5 p.m. session. Thank you, guys.